o'clock, call the meeting to order. When you rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Here.
Here.
Yep.
The agenda has a correction to it. Payables are being amended, figures are changing. The payable of 38,367.13 should be 38,620.70, which changes the total to 67,815.12. Any discussion? Motion to approve the agenda as revised.
I'll support.
Approved and supported. All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Approval of the minutes of the May 10th meeting.
Motion to approve the Second.
Been moved and supported. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Public comment?
I've got a few. You know, I thought I'd give you guys time to do the right thing. Apparently, that's not gonna happen. So, I guess what I would recommend that this council, knowing that the president of this council, the chief of police, tried to cover up a member of the council, trustee of the council, on criminal matters, dealt with, investigated. Number one, it's a crime. 2.5 months went by. I walk in there and I get told it's a civil matter and that it's under a 17 cal. Give me a break. Huh? Then you turn around and allow that person, Leila Clark, who's head of the Parks and Recreation, with this man, Lyle Collins, to push and kick somebody out over a verbal comment. When this man got told that this man's fish were stolen, and he pursued to get in an argument with him and call him stupid and tell him to clean his fish, instead of calling the phone, picking up the phone, and calling the police and saying, hey, we've got personal property stolen down here again. No, he didn't choose to do that. And you guys jack him. He didn't do his job. He ain't doing his job this year. He's got 3 campers on 2 sites. He got a camper move off an inland spot to a lake spot that's supposed to have a 4-day minimum on it. What else have you done up there, buddy? What is wrong with you people? Huh? You want to see depositions? You're going to see them, because my attorneys are going to get a hold of the proper people, and we're going to investigate this. I don't care if you do or not. I am going to.
Good.
You all had knowledge of everything that's happened. You had knowledge, and it's right black and white. He reports to the camp manager, theft of a fish. He chose to make it an issue and argue with him, knowing there's bad blood. Hello. And you know how I found out about that? 4 board members. You know how I found about her getting possibly let go? 3 board members. That's how, Mr. President.
You feel better, George?
No, I don't feel better. Not until you're gone.
That's fine.
What you ought to do is resign.
No, I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't want
This board should take action.
it.
No, you think you can just run and do illegal stuff? I mean, you got businessmen here, you got a substitute teacher, you got somebody sitting on the school board. I want to take my grandkids and say, hey, go to Central Lake Public School because they can hide stuff. They got board members on there. Oh, buy in here, because if you're on the right side of the council, you got made. I chose, I guess, now to be on the wrong side, didn't I? But I am right. I speak the truth, and the truth will come out. Guaranteed. And everybody's accountable. You all voted. You did nothing about that, and you all knew about it. Smile all you want, bud. It's facts. You got rid of the people that bucked you, and you got your cronies in here now. Time to go get a buzz job, isn't it?
Thanks, George. I didn't know the judge was really here.
Police reports? Yes.
Police report, Scott.
Thank you. Hopefully everybody had a chance to read through the report. Kind of a busy month with some training issues, firearms training. Kind of had a good turnout with the other departments, Bel Air, Mansalona, Elk Rapids. Taser training, which is required every 2 years. Don was a new trainee, mine was just a refresher. The bottom one was a precision driving class that was actually put on, which they recommend every couple of years. We got fortunate enough, they ran one at Camp Grayling, and we got to slide in under that free of charge. So we got to use their vehicles, so kind of a really cool thing. Got to network with some other departments and stuff like that. Keeping busy. Ordinance violations are still time consuming. I think we currently have 8 of them that are non-compliant right now, and we're still working on those. So as we generate through the list and whittle them down, there's, I could go out right now and probably find another 20 more. So it's a continuous time involved issue. 8 VIN inspections, zoning permits are kind of also picking up a little bit too, which is kind of a good thing for the time. So, any questions?
Anybody for Scott?
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me pause a minute. For the record, the public comment was made by George Molsky, who lives on Bell Street and Intermediate Lake in the village. Just so it's public record.
How do you spell Molsky? Is it an I or a Y?
DPW, Sam's not here. The boys have been busy. And if there's any questions on what he has submitted, just let me know.
I just want to say he's been working a lot off with what's going on with the water mains, and he was very helpful in the removal of the sidewalks in front of the village and Adams Meadows.
Any other comment? Okay. DDA, Corey?
Oh, we've been working on promotion of Central Lake the last few meetings and stuff kind of coming to a head right now. Based on a recommendation from Pamela Luce, we hired Heather Fusen as our new market manager. And Pamela's staying with us in a program manager role. She's gonna help develop the farmer's market and working on attracting more vendors and grants and kind of moving in that direction. We kept the same, we ended up splitting her pay because we had given her a raise at her recommendation. So there's no additional payroll costs to the DDA. She's going to be working with Heather, and that way there's 2 people that know how to do some of the new stuff that we're doing, because a lot of people can't just jump in and take charge. Part of that's the new stuff is we're going to now be able to accept SNAP, Project Fresh, Senior Project Fresh, and double up food bucks. These are low income and senior oriented programs that help to buy stuff at the market. So there's a lot to that, and that's one of the reasons for having 2 people that would be able to run it. The farmer's market is now going to be Saturdays from 9 to 1, and community entertainment and the kids area. We are very pleased to announce that we've been working with Brownwood Farms, and now we're going to have a flea market in the same area on Sundays from 9 to 3, and we expect this Sunday to be the kickoff for it and kind of to build over the year, over the summer. Signage should be up today and tomorrow. And then Central Lake Bike Night is this week. We start Thursday night, and I'd like to thank Rachel for all the help that she's put into the Bike Night project. She's done a great job in helping distribute a lot of the flyers. And it's gonna feature specials at most of our downtown businesses, and we really kind of expect this to be a pretty big deal. The initial Facebook posting had 43 shares with over 3,800 people seeing it. That's not paying to promote things, and there's been a lot of buzz and a lot of talk and stuff has been shared as far away as like Mackinac City and Traverse City. So I'm hoping that we can generate, even if we generate 50 people a night, that's gonna be 50 more than we wouldn't have had otherwise. So that's hopeful. We did have one resignation from the board, Mary Clark, who just joined us, just did not have the time to be able to help out, and wasn't quite what she thought it was. But the good news is we've talked to Chad Munger, and he's interested in joining our board. So we're hopeful for that, and I think that's it for right now.
Corey, what was the name of your new person again?
Well, we're hopeful, he's talking about it.
She's talking about Heather.
Oh, Heather Fuson,
Heather?
Yep.
How do you spell that last name?
Fuson.
Thank you.
Corey, I do have a question. A couple times in the past, we had asked for some stats on how many people you had come through last year. Do you have any of that?
Not with me, but I brought it, I think the next meeting is meeting after.
I don't have it. I've never looked at it, so if you could email it, that'd be great.
I have to look for it, because it's in all last year's paper, so I'm sure I got it somewhere.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you, Cory. Lyle?
Well, we got the new bathrooms open for Memorial Day. Worked pretty good, except one lady got locked in the bathroom, and then we had a little problem with the same door this past week. That's been reported, and I hope Jennifer followed through on it. Other than that, it's been status quo, cleaning a lot of potties and mowing a lot of grass and checking people in. That chute has helped us down there this year. I think I got about 8 sites rented out to people in their chutes, and everybody's wants to come back next year. They just don't have a date yet that they can confirm reservations for. Other than that, status quo.
It's the goal of the Chute Armor Express is to generate the chute to become as big as it was before, which is about 500 shooters participants, and this year there's just a little over 100 that have registered. So the goal is to be up to 500 in two more years. So
Have they picked a date for the shoot for next year?
it will be in this stretch of June more than likely.
It's basically the same thing.
All right.
It would be a godsend to the park crew if they can keep it in this area.
Yeah.
Corey, you might want to think about something to do for next year, a tent or something out there. That would be a really cool thing. Find out that day, block Maple Street or something, and, I don't know, really accentuate that and get people into Central Lake on an otherwise early week. People wouldn't be necessarily coming in.
We got people from Wisconsin and Ohio.
Anything else for Lyle? Correspondence, there's only one. Milton Township is having a meeting 10 o'clock Saturday morning with the Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy. They're trying to brainstorm and come up with an idea for Camp Maplehurst property that's it's an old summertime camp place that has gone out of date, and buildings are all dilapidated, and they're trying to, but there's a 60-plus acre lake there, and they're just trying to figure out something to do with it. So at 10 o'clock, if somebody's interested, Saturday morning, it's at the Milton Township Hall. So that's all I've got as far as correspondence. Committee reports, Lyle?
We were able to get the concrete report in front of the Central Village Market, and also down at Alvin Adams, which was no problem. Sam was very helpful in removing those. The project is complete, and the cones will be removed by tomorrow. They'll be back tomorrow
water-wise, while the work is being done on replacing water lines, Sam and the boys are putting in chlorine into the watering system as a preventative measure while they are opening and shutting water lines out. So as soon as all the work is done and we're back to normal, then it will stop. So,
I talked to Sam today, and he said they're probably about 2 weeks ahead of schedule. So they're progressing along very
It
well.
looks like I went for a ride the other night, and
Yeah.
it looks good.
I'll tell you that Tri-County sure did us a good favor.
Oh, yeah. We had a,
Timing was perfect.
we had a breakdown on Maple Street,
Yeah.
and Bill and I went down with Sam, and Sam said that first time in 25 years that he was not gonna be able to fix it. So he talked to Bill and I, and he said, he thought about calling Elmer's. So we said, what about Tri-County, they're on the street over? He says, I don't think they had equipment big enough to fix it. The guys came over, had it fixed in 30 minutes. And the guy's charging us 2 hours per man and 2 hours for the piece of equipment.
Didn't charge us $1,000.
No,
Okay,
so that was a godsend, it was here.
Timing's everything.
Yeah, they were every year.
Yeah.
They were waiting for parts for.
Yep, they put a sleeve over it, and the guy was able to scoop the water out fast enough, so 2 guys was in there. Worked out great, so a lot
That
of
was,
great things.
that was Elmer's, Brian?
Tri-County from Harbor Springs. Yep,
they're the ones that.
they're doing our water main project,
Water.
Tri-County excavating.
Now, is the rotating gonna be done when all the wire mains are replaced? Everyone has that question, so.
And they've been very good about putting the roads travelable, you know,
Yep.
so that way when they tear them up, they're still, you can drive down them.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And you can dig through.
Okay, Bill?
I think Scott covered everything pretty well. The only thing I would add is the work they're doing with the complaints of blight and one thing or another in town. It's pretty stressful for Scott, I'll tell you. There's, we ask him to do it, he's doing it, and I think we need to support him. If it's not if it's not being done the way that the ordinances say it should be, then we'll talk to him. That's not the case though. It is being done correctly. And I would say that more than just correctly, there's been so few tickets actually issued. It's just remarkable to how many complaints have been cleaned up and taken care of without tickets. I don't know how you could get any better average than what they're doing.
And even if you're having a disagreement on the citation, it should be addressed with the police department.
Absolutely. It needs to be kept where it starts. That's why we ask him to do it, so that he has the authority to handle the complaint.
He's phone call away.
And the last thing he does is issue a ticket. I mean, I've seen him go way beyond what he should have, or what he could have done. And he doesn't have to do that. But it's not his goal to issue tickets to residents. And certainly it's not his goal to make hard feelings between anybody either, but he does have a job to do. And we've asked him to do it, and he's doing it, and in my opinion, he's doing a very good job.
Yeah, great.
And I would appreciate the support of the entire board. I think that would make his job much more possible.
Scott, you got my support.
That's all right.
Melissa, communication?
You have our minutes there, short and sweet. We talked about, normally we had a meeting at 1 o'clock, but it was kind of eating up the day, so we're gonna move it to the morning. Rob told us no newsletter, and we talked about maybe putting up a bulletin board in the hallway or somewhere so that minutes and things important to the community could be out in the hall with the buildings, open, but maybe the office closed, so. That's it.
Any questions? Brian, finance personnel?
I don't have a lot. Looks like Gordy Fraser's getting a lot of money tonight, but things are progressing along well. I've had a lot of comments about the park at my work, and I've had people tell me that those are the best bathhouses that they've ever seen. They're bathhouses. Boardwalk, the new docks look spectacular, so it's been a lot of work for this board and the previous board, but everything's progressing along. And that's all I have, thank you.
Rob, Parks and Public Property?
On that same note, I want to thank Lyle and Rachel right now for both of your hard work. You ordering all the hardware for the bathrooms, and Lyle, you installing them. Lyle installed the shower rod, shower curtains, the hooks next to the shower, hooks in the doorway, the shelf next to the sink, the bench in the doorway. All those had to be drilled into concrete. It wasn't like it was going into drywall, so we spent a lot of time on that, and I do appreciate it immensely. Folks, you got to go down there and look at it for yourself. It's really nice. So that's the nice part about it, but we had to do that for 4 bathrooms, so it cost us about $1,000 over and above. So we took that out of the 508-7750 account, which is the 4th page from the last, if you have your itemized budget here. So we're sitting in a balance of $110,000 on the campground repair and maintenance, so we're still good there. Nothing out of the ordinary, but that's where that money came from to get all those items in the bathrooms in a timely manner. That's that. Let's see. Revenues for the month of June as compared to last year. Last was up 7.5%. So that is also really good news. The biggest one was Site 11. Last year we had only 28% occupancy rate for June. This year we sat it for June at 100%.
Could you do any better?
What's so special about lot 11?
What's so special about Lot 11? What's next to you?
It's ready for shading.
There you go.
There you go, perfect.
Last year,
It's long term.
Last year, the camper that usually was on 11 was on site 1. So 11 did get rent, it didn't.
Obviously, Brian already alluded to it, the North Street docks are in. The one at 30 feet from the west went in perfectly. The one at 60 feet from the west, where the other old 2 were, went in perfectly. And of course, the one that was supposed to be at 90 feet did not. There was the issue of the handicap ramp and the large piece of machinery, the crane that brings the trestle piece over to the water area couldn't get around the handicap parking or the handicap ramp there. So at the last minute, we walked a little bit further east, and literally at 4 o'clock, Sam and I are moving rocks out of the water because their crew wants to go and we're not letting them go home. We want these done. So we moved further east. If you went too far east, there's the old PVC pipe that's perforated for an old fire hydrant.
Dry hydrant, yeah.
Well, you can ask Bill about that. I don't know. We couldn't put it there on either side of that because the dry hydrant was there. So now we finally chose a spot that was aesthetically pleasing, so that way further east in the future we could put out another dock. Melissa, you alluded to a fishing pier or something like that. So we offset it a little bit from the east. So the 2 that you look at, the one at 30 and 60, are symmetrical. You go around the corner a little bit, it looks like the one dock is off by itself. Indeed it is. It's because in the future, we're going to go off of that same distance from the opposite side, from the east, and put another dock in, hopefully. So that's why that you've got 2 where the other ones were, and why there's not another one 30 feet beyond that one. The next topic on that whole situation. I talked to Eric Burns from Flotation Dock. He looked at this, he obviously was there on site. He feels that we most likely could leave those docks in year round. based on ice conditions, wind, and water currents. And I said, what happens if we have the winter of a lifetime? He stated that you just pull your backhoe, and just the way he put them in, you pluck them back out again, and you put them on the street right there for that week or two when the ice flows are occurring. He said, just monitor the situation. We have a long time before we can have to think about that, but that's just something in the back of your mind to think about.
That's worst scenario, not every.
Worst scenario, that we have a south wind and we have pack ice coming up from the south end of the lake, and it starts shifting those piers around.
So it's not every year occurs.
That's what happened to the ones we had out there before.
Yep.
So,
They would have been fined for 20 years before that.
That one winter that.
And right
Yeah.
after that,
so,
ice pushed them right up.
yeah, that's,
Those were permanents.
Yeah.
well, these are not traditionally permanent docks. You alluded to that, and, you
Would our
know,
backhoe be able to pick those things up?
Sam thought so, yeah.
The front end loader will.
The Lord, okay, right.
So, you'll have to move the rocks, bring it down there, and then pluck them out. And you just pluck them out and put them back right there on the parking area. So,
Well, Cedarville gets winters worse than us, so they,
And it's once every 20 years, you get Buckman's down there with their big excavator and pull them out.
yeah, that, and you can,
You're a Michigan Fair, Hampton Crane.
and
Yeah,
your money,
I
and your
mean,
money
there's
ahead.
bigger equipment around that can do it if it's only once every 20 years or 10 years or whatever.
well, it costs us 400 in and 400 out currently for the white docks. So $800 a year. If we can go 2 years,
You're gonna pay for the crane.
you'll pay for the crane or whatever. So, but again, we can talk about that at another time. But again, Lyle, you've got to go down there. Lyle is just Amish carpentry down there. I'll tell you what, he did a great job. I really appreciate that. So,
Thank you.
let's see. That is- permanent docks, the public comment is over with. There were not any public comments. So Jennifer Hodges gets back on vacation today, so we're gonna start moving forward with the bid process. That is it, and then we have an agenda item, action item B, which we'll talk about that later. And that's it.
Is the campground project finished now except for permanent docks?
I think so. It doesn't, I hope so.
My question is, the pipes that were put in by the boardwalk for drainage purposes, I saw them down there doing that.
Oh, yeah, they put the sleeve in to hope alleviate the standing water. It's a perforated black pipe, and then there is some absorbent, or I should say non-absorbent material, then a threaded sock around that to help with the water. And then you put sand on top of that to help with the drainage.
And that work's been done.
The work has been done.
It hasn't helped.
Oh, that's right, well, no, we had a half an inch rain, we had a quarter inch rain yesterday, so.
It's staying in water after that short one we had the day before yesterday.
Who put that, who did that work? Jack?
Jack.
I don't think Jack was there, but two of his crew were.
Jack and both boys were there.
Jack was there, okay, I didn't see him.
Let me see, I think I'm missing a few things. I got it right here. Let's see, the video cameras on the pavilion we spoke about. Again, we're gonna get one project done here before we start another one. Directional signs in the boardwalks, Corey and I are going over that. We should have them ordered here within a week, hopefully. The message boards, we think we're gonna be able to use the old kiosk, the 4x4 post that's a little, what'd you call it? Kiosk,
Yeah.
bulletin board,
Yeah.
freestanding bulletin board. We walked around and we looked at where we could put that, the informational board. It's rather large. We do have directional boring going on down there. So we're gonna hold off and look where we can put it. That'll be the least obtrusive for everything. North Street Walking Trail, we're still waiting on the guy that's supposed to do the work, Dean Crandall, his foot to heal. So the doctor pushed it back to August 1 now. Let's see, North and West Docks we talked about. And that's it.
Okay, my report. Rachel and I went to the Northern Lakes Economic Alliance luncheon on May 19th in Petoskey. And we didn't learn much that day, other than it's quite a football facility that Petoskey has for their school and students and community. But I think just our presence for the most part, keeps the Economic Alliance encouraged that we are trying to make improvements here, and because of that, they're trying to help us. And they have not submitted, but will submit, oh yes they did, yesterday she submitted an application from the Michigan Nonprofit Association for a VISTA worker who will be used to help us implement our economic development plan. That was a result of the Rising Tide Initiative, and it's a year-long commitment by this worker, if we can find one. There is 4 parts to that worker as far as the goal is concerned, and that is because of the nature of this application, or this person, they have to help communities that are low income qualified, which Central Lake is. That's why we've been lucky to receive all the help that we get with all of this. So the first 6 months is going to be geared to the community and the practice of saving money, and I'm not quite sure of all of it, but to coordinate the business community, that large community, to hopefully put on a couple of different programs that will help educate on how to spend money wisely, how to save for the future, things of that sort. The second 6 months, this person's going to work on community branding and also implementing the communications plan that was a result of the consultants from the Rising Tide group. So they have applied. They don't know if it's going to happen or not, but the effort is being made. So last month, I believe, there was another application for a similar type worker, and that wasn't approved. So this is a second attempt through a different group to find somebody that can help us do that. So there'll be more forthcoming as the process begins. If the application is accepted, Sarah Christensen will probably be at our next meeting in July and to explain all that they intend to do, and probably will end up to see if we would be willing to nominally support that with some financial contributions.
Say with a full grant or partial grant.
But those things will, she said there's an elephant in the room and we gotta take the bites small. So we gotta get the application accepted, and then from that point, things will start to move. So I met with the Department of Environmental Quality, Julie Lowe, and Pixley, I can't remember her first name, Heidi Pixley with DEQ. She's the enforcement officer. On the 24th of May, and the paper that was in your packet, the Department of Environmental Quality Brownfield Redevelopment Assessments. I started to do this on my own because when I met with them, we went through the village, identified possible sites for redevelopment assessments to be done on, And I've had that for the last couple of weeks, and I've thought hard about it because we've got to get permission from the property owners for access to their property. And from my perspective, it's a slippery slope. That we're asking them to open their property up, to have assessments done so we can find out if there is potential brownfield issues or none. It would be beautiful if everybody came away cleaned and then you wouldn't have to worry about it for the future. And that's what this is about, is trying to get Central Lake redevelopment ready for the future, and hopefully a growth-inducing future. But I said to myself, as I've been pondering all of this, I said I gotta bring it to you guys, and I'm gonna ask for some feedback, assuming that you've read this, what your first responses were to it when you read it, and should we continue with it? I don't think that if contamination is found, that they will put them on a list of Superfund sites or whatever. That's not their intent, but I'm sure that if they found contamination beyond safe levels, that they would be geared up to tackle that immediately, and there would be repercussions for the owners of the property. The 5 sites that I picked, I don't want to mention in the meeting, just because they're not aware of who they are at this point in time.
Are they business or residential or both, or?
They are downtown properties. Through this effort, there were a couple of them on their list that I found out were cleared, have been cleared in the past. One of them being the corner store, which used to have, historically had gas pumps down there back in the 50s or something, I think. They've been cleared, and the Pickup Capital, which is now south of the Blue Pelican, the old gas station site there, that site has been cleared.
The old Sunoco?
The old Sunoco. So there's a couple other gas station sites that are on the list, I'll give you that much. There are, and there is one property outside of the village that may or may not be pursued. Its history isn't as tainted as some of the other sites, so I guess I would like some input from what I've said and what you've read to see if anybody comes up with something that I haven't thought about. Nobody has any opinions.
Well, I've got a concern. So let's say they find something really toxic and bad, benzene. Toxic and bad, you gotta get rid of it right now. Who's gonna pay for that?
Or
Well, and that's,
I mean, that's,
and that's one of my problems.
yeah.
They can't tell me that they're gonna come in and do it. More than likely, none of these sites that have been considered, current owners probably did not do any contamination whatsoever. It's historical information that has made those sites a priority.
Current owners have responsibility though.
But current owners have responsibility, and I've asked, and I asked in an email, because Julie Lowe, who is the head of this project for the DEQ in Gaylord, she said, how are things going? And I emailed her back Monday and said, this is my concern. I said, she has stated that it does not relieve any liability. And I said, I have a real difficult time trying to justify going to the current property owners and saying that you have no liability. If I can say that, then there's no risk on the current owners to do this, because it's only positive that's gonna happen. And 90% sure, more than likely, it's only positive that's gonna happen, but it's that 10% that I'm worried about.
And let's remember, while remediation is occurring, there's loss of revenue by that business.
Wasn't there years ago in the state fund for cleaning up properties?
Super
Is
fund.
that-
The super fund.
Is that dissipated or is that still available?
The pickup capital was involved in that, they had the wells back right between me and Jonathan.
Yeah.
All right.
Elementary Street.
And the Plume and Mansalona to Bel Air, I mean, that's, the state has
Yeah.
forked over a bunch of money for that. If we got to a situation where, and again, I don't think our,
Why would the village, what's in it for the village if we can't say to the people, we'll be able to help you if you're found to have a super toxic mess, how can we help them clean up that mess?
I don't know that we can say that. We don't have the resources to do that. If it's bad enough, I'm sure the state's gonna step on, and that's what they say in this information. They will step in if there's something there, if it's that bad. I don't think we're gonna find anything that's
But with the
that
history going
bad.
back as far as where the contamination actually happened, it's probably dissipated out and, like I say, it's not that serious. But still, it needs to be.
It's already into our waterways.
Yeah, I mean, they perform normal.
I just think like the Destaco plant.
The
That's a
downtown part,
plan
they
too.
would have a place to start because of the monitoring wells that they have there now.
Yeah. You know, again, they hire a third party to do this. The state doesn't actually do it. They contract with somebody else to come in and do these phase 1, phase 2 assessments. Which, as far as the value to it, that once we get these done, they're cleared, then a buyer for any of those properties does not have to be concerned about contamination.
That's the advantage of it.
That's
It
the
raises the
advantage.
property value of those.
It would help the owners, right,
So
it would help
property
the
value.
owners to avoid costs of doing the assessment themselves or a buyer doing the assessment. So, I mean, there's a lot of upside to all of this happening.
Somebody might buy it to improve it and increase the revenue of the
I
community.
think the list of pros and cons and addressing each property owner individually, you know, to get their thoughts. We
Right
can
now,
guess all we
if,
want, but until you talk to the property owner, then I think it's the property owner's decision.
About the only time it's getting done now is when somebody wants to buy, before they can, you know, especially if you've got investors, they're gonna be, they
Sure,
wanna
but if
protect
the state's
themselves.
willing to pay for it and it can help the business out, but I still think it's their decision, not.
Well, I agree with there, I mean, that's not an issue. It is their decision. I want to know how you guys feel before I approach an owner and say, this is what we'd like to do.
I was just wondering if insurance would have a part in any of this, you know, the owner's property insurance, that if they had to disclose that they bought the property and it used to be used that way, if an insurance company would have to add something to a policy to cover.
I think
the
to
what
get that
ifs.
insurance, you have to have the inspection done. And then they'll insure it from the point it's at. And if it gets worse, then you have liability coverage. But they won't fix it.
They won't fix
Anything previous.
Now you're talking about millions of dollars to
it. Yeah, could be.
lots of money.
Well, I think you definitely ought to talk to the folks,
All right.
talk to the
I guess
clients,
that's
see
what-
what they think.
that's what
I mean,
I-
it can't hurt to talk to them and get their opinion.
That's what I wanted to hear from you, so if that's the case, I will proceed.
I agree.
The zoning district mixed use expansion revision is posted and official. And to go back to the two grants, the DNR trust fund grant that we started with in the park did not require any environmental review process. The CDBG grant from the Rising Tide does, which means that we took the permanent docks in the park and moved it to the CDBG grant in order to pay for the permanent docks. But the environmental review still has to be complete now, because even though it wasn't before. And in that vein, I have a DNR person, the district supervisor, called me on Monday asking if we needed any help. And since I didn't know what he did until he explained it to me, and then I asked him, well, I'm not sure, he was looking for something to do to help us. And I said, well, I'm not sure what you do, but this is where we are. We had one grant, and we moved some of this into our new CDBG grant, and it requires an environmental review. I don't know anything about it. Do you know anything about it? He says, I don't know anything about it specifically, but I do know the grant person in Lansing that more than likely does know something about this, and he reached out to her. I haven't heard anything back, but it's just another group that has touched base with us and said, can they help? So, and I'm saying, yes, you can. I don't know if this is part of it, but he said, well, this is a little different approach that we're starting to take. Rather than me sitting in the office and twiddling my thumbs waiting for somebody to call,
That's amazing.
he said, I'm calling to find out if we can be of any service, so. And beyond that, that's all I have, so. I would like to make one statement. I will not comment on open investigations regardless of who is involved. If the village and our personnel are involved, that will never come out of my mouth unless I'm required to say something. So. That can be misconstrued, I'm sure, by some parties, saying that I'm trying to cover something up. I'm just not talking about anything that requires an investigation, and the current investigation is over. Okay, approval of the bills. Prepaids, $22,801.53, payroll, $63,92.89, payables, $38,620.70. Total approved bills, $67,815.12. Need a motion?
Make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll support.
Been moved and supported to pay the bills as presented. Roll call vote.
Chapman?
Yes.
Wallace?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Wiley?
Yep.
Zolnak?
Nope.
No new business, action items. The Tri-County bid $3,000 to fix water on State Street. It's only about $1,800, not $3,000, because Sam and the boys went up and did some of the work that they could handle. That's gonna be done a week from this coming Saturday. And it's about an $1,800 bill. So. And the reason we're fixing it is because Sam seemed to think it was our problem. The lines were old and had not been replaced forever, and he says we've done it for others in the community. There's no reason why we can't do it in this instance. However, the remaining work that needs to be done, we don't have the equipment for.
And we patched it numerous times.
And we've patched it over the years, so. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
No second.
Been moved and supported to approve Tri-County's bid of $1,800 to fix water line. It's roughly $1,800. Until they get on site, they won't know exactly.
So motion up to or
Up to 2,000, that'll give them a cushion just in case they run into something we don't know. So the motion will be to approve up to $2,000. Made by Chapman, supported by Patton. Roll call vote, spending money.
Chapman?
Yes.
Lovelace?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yep.
Bonet?
Yes.
Heckler?
Yes. Approve campground rule change. It's highlighted in yellow. The campground park, the park committee suggested a change in the bottom of page 1, which says original campground reservation may be amended or modified as requested twice by the camper before village exercises its right to cancel the reservation. This is in an effort to ensure the availability of the site for other campers. That statement was presented to our attorney. As he read through the rules, he suggested that we be a little more consistent in our designation of the campground manager. We had 3 different titles for him, and which we have done, and then there was a couple of typo errors, so
There's no change in the $6, it's just highlighted.
it's highlighted.
It was a convenience fee one time, and then it was a reservation fee the next time, so we just made it all
Okay, cool.
the same.
I'll make a motion to approve the new changes.
I'll second.
Been moved and supported. Any further discussion? Those in favor of the motion say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Forty Frasers have several bills. 2943.65 for the Thurston Park improvement, and all the others for the water main. Well, the next 3 for the water main project, and then 530 for consulting services to the North Street Trail project. I don't know what the total is for those. Did you make?
Is all the money together, or just?
I don't see why we can't.
56,542.90 if they're all added together.
Say that again, 56?
56,547.90, assuming I typed right.
I don't think you did.
Maybe I did.
32 and 17 and 49.
547.90.
33 and 70, I got about 50,000. You said 56,000.
Yep, I'm trying it again, just to make sure. $56,547.90, I'm adding from 29.43 down to 530.
Yep. Okay.
56,547.90.
Okay. Well, I had it wrong in my head. So.
Can we pay all them? Make a motion to approve all them at the same time?
Well, that's what.
C through G?
I've got a question, Larry.
Yep.
On the 2 larger ones, there's engineering and survey and construction services for, the water main. Unless I don't have all the information, whatever, but there's not a lot of info on why Jordy Fraser, should that have been part of the original bid? The engineering and surveying cost, unless we requested something, unless Larry or Sam or somebody has
Where
requested.
that loud?
23,000 one?
The 23 and the 17,000.
Which, what are you talking, which line?
Both of them, they're real vague on far as, the services performed, engineering and surveying and construction services. Well, water mains upgrade. Well, what's the upgrade? Was it something that they had missed, or is it something Larry requested, or Sam has requested, or somebody else has requested? Shouldn't that have been part of,
This is all in there.
shouldn't that have been part of the original? I mean, they were our designers and engineers. Shouldn't they have had all that included in their original bid?
I think they did. They're just just now getting submitted
So
bills.
it's not,
Paid
it's
for.
not an
They're
upgrade,
just sending the
it's
bills
part of the
for-
original cost.
It's part of the original cost. I think their total fee for the
They're sending us bills that they get the work done and we're paying it.
Okay, so it's not an upgrade, it's just the original cost, okay.
Right, I think they got $175,000 close in the, just in the water main upgrade.
Right.
And that's all,
So it's not an upgrade to the upgrade, it's just the original.
it's just the original, they're just now.
They just want their money now.
They want their money now, they've done the work for the most part, they just want their money. Why don't we take it, Thurston Park C as separate, then we'll take D, E, and F together, and then we'll take G separate, since they're three different projects. So I need a motion to approve 2009-4365 for the Thurston Park Improvement Project.
I'll make that motion. Support.
Been moved and supported, roll call.
Beckman?
Yes.
Oliver?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yep.
Zorn?
Yes. This is a little redundant in that we approved the original bids and all of that, but, okay, so now we will consider $8,700, $23,774.25, and $17,600 for water main upgrade project.
$50,074.25.
$50,000.
$74.25.
Any motion?
So,
So moved by Patton,
Second.
support by Lyle. Roll call vote.
Chapman?
Yes.
Glover?
Yes.
Patton?
yes.
Tyler?
Yep.
Zorn?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes. The last one, $530 for the North Street Trail Project. Roll call vote. Yeah, let's get a motion in a second.
I make a motion.
Got a motion? Support. Got a support.
Chapman?
Yes.
Glover?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yep.
Zorn?
Yep.
Tyler?
No old business? My only comment is that I think we have a very good working group that work for our community. And I hope we can support them as best we can.
Larry, I have a question. We have a couple of letters here that were correspondence. The one that's handwritten one, when did we get that? Was that like yesterday or Monday or?
I got it last week and it was hand delivered by Rob, who got it from
George Molsky. And it directly went from George right to this office.
I chose not to comment about it because the person that it pertains to had not been informed, as far as I know.
Right, well, I'm wondering if it should have gone to a personnel committee before it came to this board, because now it's included in an agenda packet, which,
Right.
you know, open. So that was, I just wondered when we got it.
Last week sometime. Any other questions? Need a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and supported, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried.
If it doesn't snow tomorrow, we'll have 15 minutes, half an hour, maybe at the park, and we'll go over all of it.
Absolutely.
I'll take some photos and
Yeah.
bring your mud docs, I take.